Yes, people. Yes, people. Black Eyes TV 7 in the house, bringing the information back again. Special guest, Shakka Ahmose. Need I say more? But before we get to him, Terry, speak to the people then.
Lovely people. This is a beautiful weekend, a long weekend, a chilly weekend, and black ice weekend. We're giving you the most information, best information, as this is the school of thoughts. So now, as I said to you before, we are now bringing out the big guns. We're now coming to shoot the information into your skin, and there's the one and only we've got today, Shakka Ahmose. How are you doing today, Shakka?
Family, it's an honor. Duau, Uncle Johnson Ed. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you and with the family across the pond, as they say. Well, we don't say across the pond. We let the white people say across the pond. We say across the river because we still dealing with that Nile River. Okay, so that's what it is. So it's a pleasure to be here with my family across the river over in the UK, and also with the family that's tuning in from all over the world, because we know it's not just our brothers and sisters in the UK. It's not just our brothers and sisters in America, you know. And so I want to shout out everybody and just say thank you for having me. I want to say thank you to Black Ice TV. I want to say duau, that means give praise and gratitude to Black Ice TV 7 for having me. And we've been, I mean, look, I got to give these brothers their credit, and I'm sure there's some sisters in there too somewhere that deserve that praise. But I have to give these brothers some credit. Terry has left the call.
No, he's still there.
Okay,
I'm still there. I'm still there.
I'm like, where you at? Because all I'm seeing is my camera, and I'm not seeing those little prompts that show you guys in it. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I thought y'all left me all alone for a minute. Okay. So, but anyway, yeah, you know, it's a pleasure to be here. Let's get right to it. And I'll throw the ball back to you. And as soon as you throw it back to me, I'm going to jump right into it. Let the family know why I'm here, what they need to be looking out for, and how they can make it a healthy habit in their life of coming to get this knowledge from a genuine, authentic source.
Oh, bro, listen. Again, thank you to everybody that's tuning in so far. Chat room's filling up. Big up to the family from here to the UK. Yeah, but again, right now, true, we've only got you for a certain amount of time. It's not even about a long thing. It's about what you've been up to, what you've been doing. We see you now starting to present a bit more now on Sarnet TV and
right.
platforms. I see your consultation and
Sure.
your campaign on Insta. So let's just jump in and talk about what you're doing, what you've been presenting on, and what what's important to Shakka Ahmose right now.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that very much, family. And duau again. Basically, right now, it's all about Shakka Ahmose University. That's what it's all about. SAU, Shakka Ahmose University. That's what it's all about. And you know, it's, to me, I'm still trying to get over the fact. Are we still there? Are we online?
Yeah, we online. We still there.
I'm like, wait a minute. I don't see nothing to nobody.
I'm watching it live right now on YouTube as we're talking. So don't watch it. If something drops, I'll be the first to say, right, wait.
Okay, cool. That's all I need. Oh, there you go. Oh, you know what it is? All right, yeah. I'm like, I got so many windows open right now because I'm still putting together the platform for the night. So, and it's a lot of work. And I'm like, get it in there, get it. People, when I tell you, family, that people have no idea how much knowledge there is to actually get. And it's a lot of work. It's really, really a lot of work. So, and the work doesn't stop. But right now, like I said, it's all about Shakka Ahmose University. And that's where people, just to let the people know, because everybody's been asking, Where's Shakka Ahmose? Where's Shakka? Why I don't see Shakka? Blah, 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 blah. And they see all that other stuff. Well, Shakka and the Queen, or maybe I should say the Queen and Shakka, have been working overtime to really put this institution in place so that the people can actually come and get the knowledge. You know, you won't really have to go looking for me on other people's platform, on other platforms. Of course, you know, every so often you'll still see me on the House of Consciousness. Sanetta is, you know, my brother for life. House of Consciousness is home for life. But right now, you know, I wanted to elevate the entire experience. And so that's why I put in the work of bringing to our people Shakka Ahmose University. And that's what it's about, ASU. In fact, what I'm going to do is, I don't know if my queen is available, but I'm going to make every effort to put whatever links are necessary in here in the chat, so that people don't have to go too far to look for those things. In fact, they don't have to go too far because I have everything open for them. So I want to make it as easy as possible for the people to find me, to find the knowledge. And here's the link right here. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put that in there. Let's see here. This is for the people. Shakka Ahmose University. Here we go. I spelled my own name wrong. Can you beat that? That's all right. Hey, look, at this point in time, I'm entitled. Trust me when I tell you. All right. There you go. It's in the chat. Shakka Ahmose University. So anybody looking for it, it's in there. Okay. So yeah, it's all about Shakka Ahmose University. And tonight, people, tonight, family, is the debut of Shakka Ahmose University. For those of you who have already purchased the course, because there are a number of people in the UK here who have already purchased the course, and that's what the platform is. It's a platform where I will be debuting and teaching and taking you through my courses that I have designed myself. It'll be very similar to what you saw on side of the TV in that it will be in PowerPoint presentation, but the amount of information cannot be qualified as a PowerPoint because it's too much information. It is a course, okay? By the time you're done, you're going to have a lot more knowledge about the subject matter than most people you will ever meet, okay? And that's what it is. You know, I guess it's my way of making little mini Shakka Ahmoses out there, you know what I mean? And bringing people up to speed. You know, I don't want to be the only, you know, I'm sure you guys research as well, and you know how frustrating it can be to be walking around with pertinent, relevant knowledge in your mind and not having peers that you could speak with about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I know, look, I know a lot of people in the so-called conscious community that study, but I can't even discuss the things that I know with them because, you know, I don't know where their studies have necessarily taken them to. However, I for whatever reason, I'm not too sure if their studies has taken them at least in the direction that my own has taken me, in the direction and in the distance. And that's being honest, the distance with which my studies have taken me. I mean, it's a hell of a distance. It's like swimming away from the shore. You know what I mean? And you turn around and you look back and you see how far you swam and you're like, what the like, how did I get all the way out here? You know, they told me I couldn't swim. First of all, they told me I couldn't swim. Now that I found out I could swim, I actually swam this far. You know what I mean? And I'm looking back on the shore at people that's still afraid to come in the water. You know what I mean? And then I look at people who are in the water and they're just floundering around and don't even know what direction to swim in. So, you know, it can get lonely when you're way, way, way out there. And I don't want to be lonely anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm going to bring people out here with me in the deep, deep water so that they can know what that ocean is like as well. You know, so they can know what that ocean of knowledge is like. So yeah, the name of the course, of the first course, is going to be debuting tonight at 9 p.m. Forgive me. That's going to be debuting in 4 hours from now. 4 hours from now. And I'm saying 4 hours from now because it won't be 9 p.m. over there. Okay? So whatever it will be over there, I think to the best of my knowledge, it will be 1 a.m. over there when it debuts. But the name of the course, the title of the course is called Black Masters, White Slaves. I'll say it again. Black Masters, White Slaves. And the reason that I'm calling it that is very simple. It's because growing up in the West, whether you're in America, whether you're in the UK, growing up in the West, we have, and I know for a fact, we have all felt the sting of looking at our former colonizers and our former slave masters. We've all felt the sting of looking in their face, and we know, a lot of us are not honest about it, but we know that we have all felt that sting of inferiority because of what our race was put through, because of what we were subjected to. And that feeling of inferiority has not gone away. Don't let nobody fool you. Don't let the expensive suits fool you. Don't let the big homes fool you. Don't let the cars fool you, the gold chains, none of that. Don't let any of that fool you. Don't let the fact that many of us are marrying into white families, don't let any of that fool you and make you think that black people no longer feel or have that inferiority complex because of what we were subjected to with slavery. We all still have it to some degree. That's why we're not always on our best behavior when it comes to talking or thinking about white people. You know, there is that resentment, and it's a justifiable resentment, but there's a resentment that lingers and that lasts. And the adverse side of that is that on the white side, something they don't speak about, there's still that unspoken pride that many of them had to know that in their not too distant past, we were their slaves. You see, we can't even think of those terms to just look back a few centuries and go and say, oh yeah, those were our slaves over there, right? We don't think in those terms because we haven't been educated to think in those terms. We haven't been socialized to think in those terms. And so because of that, we have a very lopsided view of race. We have a very lopsided view of historical race relations. I'll say that again. We have a very lopsided view of historical race relations in the world, not just in this country, not just in the UK, not just in the Caribbean, but in the world, particularly as it pertains to black and white. We have a very lopsided view, and that's what this course is designed to address. It's designed to disarm people of their false notions about what has actually happened between black people and white people from the time of antiquity even up to now, because we are still experiencing many of the phenomena and much of the results and outcomes that came out of that experience. But it's an experience that we really don't know much about. We all know that white people enslaved black people. I don't think that that's a secret. We've all seen the movies, 12 Years a Slave, Django Unchained, the list goes on and on. But that being the case, we all know that. We know it because it's a part of our recent history. And so it's a part of our education, whether directly or indirectly. You don't have to go to school to learn that white people enslaved black people. You don't have to go. Do you have to go to school to learn that, family?
Bro.
Huh?
Well known.
No, you don't. Nobody had to go to school to learn that white people enslaved us. So here's the thing. You still learn it in school. When I was growing up, the history books, they started with American history. So when you're studying history and they start with American history, because you don't just get world history in school, you know, you're going to start you with your local history. So in America, when they taught us history, it started with slavery. So you go through life thinking that's where your history began. And your relation, and you also believe that that's always been your relationship to the other side, to the other people. And that's a false notion. It's miseducation, and that can leave you psychologically debilitated. because it sends you false messages about who you are, what you can do, what you've done in the past, and what can be done again in the future. And so, not that I don't think this course is not designed to say, yeah, let's go out and enslave white people again. No, the course is designed to let you know, hey, look, your race did fall. We did fall. But you might want to see and know the heights from which we fell. Because if you don't know that, you're going to be left with incorrect information, inaccurate information, and probably no information at all about it. So that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Shakka Ahmose University, right? First and foremost, let me give a shout out to the ancestors, to the Dirtu. That's the Kemetic terminology for ancestors, Dirtu. So let me give a shout out an Uncle Jaseneb and a duau to the Dirtu, to the ancestors, and also to the Medu, to the elder staff, to all of the elders who are still living. Dr. Leonard Jeffries, who else? Professor James Smalls, and I'm sure there are even Anthony Browder, who's earned his eldership. And I'm sure there are others out there who may escape my mind. Dr. Rosalind Jeffries. We always name the men and we forget to name the queens. We name the kings, but we forget to name the queens. So, and to my mother, absolutely. To my mother, to my Queen Mut in Africa, absolutely. Let me give a warm duau to you, because I do love you and respect you, and thank you for teaching me as you did. So, that's the name of the course: Black Masters, White Slaves. That's what we want to talk about. And I'll tell you why. Because what I want to do is, there's this one-way vision. Black people and white people in a room. Black people are looking across the room, and all they are seeing is a bunch of former slave masters. I want to shift that paradigm. I want to add to that paradigm. I don't want to take away from that paradigm, but I want to add to it. And what I want to add to it is, yes, as a black group on this side of the room, yes, you are looking at your former slave masters. But as a white group on that side of the room, when you're looking across the room at those black people over there, guess what? You're looking at your former slave masters. And you need to know that. And see, what that does is it lessens some of that European arrogance when it comes to, and not all Europeans have it. Not all white people have that sickness. You understand what I'm saying? Just like not all black people want to be down with the cause. Not all black people want to liberate minds. In fact, you have as far as I'm concerned, you have too many black people fighting for the other side. You know, literally helping to put us to sleep. Literally helping to make sure that we never wake up again.
It's back to not having a value system for certain of the information for the achievement of your people.
Well, you know what? I got to interject, brother. I have to interject, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, before I go any further, let me just say this. For those people who still want to purchase the course, Black Masters, White Slaves, that will be airing tonight, keep in mind that the pre-sale price of $77 ends tonight at 9 o'clock. As soon as the course is online, it's automatically going to go up to $99. And I want to put that in your ear, because I don't want you to come there and think that once it's up, you're still going to be able to purchase the course for $77. I don't want to I would prefer to disillusion you. I would prefer to disillusion you and let you know that as of 4 hours from now, 1 a.m. your time, 1 a.m. in the UK, 9 a.m. 9 p.m. if I'm correct, over here. In fact, what is the time difference? What you could let me know? What's the time difference between the US and the UK?
5 or 8.
It's 5. What's that again?
I said it's 5 for New York, East Coast. Or it's 8 if you're in North Carolina.
Oh, it's 8 in your. Oh, okay. 5 you're on East Coast, 8 in your. Whoa. Oh, that Greenwich Mean Time. That Greenwich Mean Time always messes me up. Well, in any event, 4 hours from now, when it's when the course goes online, the price is going to go up to $97. But hey, look, it doesn't matter if you got the pre-sale price of $47 for the course. It doesn't matter if you got the $77 pre-sale price for the course, and it really doesn't matter if you get the $97 price for the course pre-sale. Well, that's not a pre-sale price, but it doesn't matter if you get the $99 price for the course, because the entire course itself is valued upward of $500. And when you see the course, when you're inside, all students who are inside, when you see the amount of information that you're going to get in this one course, you're going to know you got a heck of a lot more than what you paid for. But the bottom line is that you're getting what you came for and more. And in fact, there's really not going to be any way for you to really anticipate what you're going to get unless you really have studied the subject matter that hard. And somehow, I kind of doubt that most of you out there have studied that subject matter that hard, because in this course, I'm going to be pulling from so many different sources. So many different sources I'm going to be pulling from. You would really have to have had a fairly large library to put something like this together. A lot of years of study, and a lot of time on your hands to do the study. That's the one blessing that I have. I get to study literally around the clock, and I'm grateful for that. But I don't take it for granted, and I don't think that it's just all about, oh, hey, look at me, I'm smart. It's not about that. It's a service for my people. It's a service for our people. That's what it's about. There's no need for us to walk through life blinded with our eyes closed and be bumping into unnecessary directions just because we don't know what occurred in our history and in our past. So, and the other thing that I want you guys to know too about the course, before I go into it, because I'm about to show you some slides from the course, and that is when you sign up for the course, and this is really good news for those of you who don't know, you get lifetime access. You can go at your own pace. You can literally go at your own pace. If you want to go slow with it, you can go slow with it. I'm there with you, letting you know what's going on in the course. If you want to go faster with the course, you can go faster with it. But you can go at your own pace. And once you sign up, in fact, that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to share my screen right now. I'm going to try to share my screen right now. Okay, here. No, I'm back on. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're still there.
Okay, that's all I want to know, because I'm feeling kind of lonely up here right now. But
don't
that's
worry.
All right.
I want people to keep on pressing that like button. You know, they're watching and they're listening. I want people to press the like button, please, and share it.
Now, the first thing somebody's going to have to tell me is, how do I share my screen with this thing? Because I've never done that with this.
When you go into the corner, you go to your left-hand corner, you'll see a green box.
I see it. I got it.
Yeah.
That's what's up. All right. That's all I needed. Thank you so much. Okay. So here we go. Share. I'm on screen share. Hey, Ma, look at me. All right. So can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. For the people watching, I want you to be able to see this.
Yeah, we can.
Okay,
we can see it.
Okay, awesome. So here's the deal. When you go to ShakkaAhmoseUniversity.com, this is the page that it's going to take you to. You're going to see the title. The title of the course says "Black Masters and White Slaves in Antiquity: The Enslavement of Ancient Whites by Ancient Black Egyptians. A conversation America needs to have when things were the other way around." And the UK needs to have that. That's right, UK. To all my white people in the UK, all those black people you see over there, those are your former slave masters. You're going to be learning about that pretty soon. So when you come here to the course, there's a button down here, the red button that says "Click here to access it now" for only $77. The price is going to change accordingly with the course. But when you press that, it's going to take you, better yet, when you press that, if the link doesn't work, let me say this. If you type in ShakkaAhmoseUniversity.com with 2 Ks, Shakka with 2 Ks. I don't know why you people keep putting 1 K in my name. My name is all over the internet, and it's always 2 Ks. So y'all need to get that together, people. It's ShakkaAhmoseUniversity.com with 2 Ks, okay? When you go there, If you go there and the link gives you a problem, no big deal. Just go to my main website, shakkaahmose.com. You can see it right here on the screen. Just go to my main website. I will always be there. Okay? shakkaahmose.com. Or rather, yeah, shakkaahmose.com, Restoring Black Minds. Now, when you go there, all you have to do is go look in the menu and you'll see where it says courses and lectures. Courses, lectures. When you click on that, it'll automatically take you to Shakka Ahmose University. It says all courses. Okay? Once you get there, it's a two-step process. When you click the red button where it says click here to access it now for whatever the price is. Right now it's $77 until I put the course online tonight. When you click there, it's going to take you to a sign-up page. Okay? We like to call it a two-step process, but it's really a three-step process. The first process is to go to the website, Shakka Ahmose University. Go to the platform. Click on the red button. It's going to take you to the sign-up page. When you do that, you're going to put your first name, your last name, your email, and your password. Once you do that, it is going to take you to the final page. That's where you handle your business, you enroll, and you're automatically enrolled. Okay, once you handle your business on that last page, and the last page will come after the sign-up page. All right, it's going to take you to a page. It's going to let you know what the rate is for the course. You're going to handle your business, and you are going to automatically be enrolled in that particular course for life. So you can go back to it and you can reference it as much as you want, only if you are signed up as a member. If you're not signed up as a member, you're going to have to talk to somebody who knows somebody who has the knowledge and has the information. Okay? Or you might have to purchase it in book form, should I decide to do that. Because I've got my hands in so much stuff, I don't know how long it'll be before the next book comes out. So in any event, people, that's how you do it. You go to the website. If you go to the website, shakkaahmoseuniversity.com. It doesn't work, go to shakkaahmose.com. Hit courses and lectures. That's going to take you back to Shakka Ahmose University. After Shakka Ahmose, click on the red button. It's going to take you to the sign-up page. You put in your first name, your last name, your email, your new password, and it's going to take you to the page where you can enroll by handling your business right there. It'll take you less than 5 minutes, or maybe all of 3 minutes, and you're enrolled. And that way you don't have to wonder, where is Shakka Ahmose? What is he doing? And so on and so on. Now, very quickly, I'm going to take you guys over to, if I can find it. Oh, that's the queen. You're supposed to be seeing that. Let's see. Where's my PowerPoint? That's what I want. But yeah, PowerPoint. Here you go. Okay. So, oh, by the way, since I'm sharing my screen, here you go, guys. That's my mother in Africa. That's my moot. That's my queen. That's her husband. Okay, and that's my sister. She's sitting next to her, my younger brother. There you go. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Please do, because we've heard you talk about them so many times in different discussions, especially with the Dr. Ben talks and.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
To the talks.
Absolutely, that's Dr. Ben's goddaughter right there that you're looking at. That is a spiritual goddaughter sitting right there. And as I was growing up as a child, she was always in Egypt, in Africa with Dr. Ben. I still have the cassettes on cassette tape of them in the temples talking and walking, and everybody's there. Professor James Small is there. Dr. Leonard Jeffries is there. Dr. John Henry Clark is there. Brother Reggie is there. And so many other people. Naeem Akbar, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Brother Sekou, who not enough people shout out Brother Sekou. And if y'all don't know who Brother Sekou is, he's one of the original black book vendors. So back in the day when you had all of these black functions going on with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and Francis Cress Wilson, you had the real main book vendors back in the day who made sure we got the knowledge. And Brother Sekou was at the top of that list. Okay. So I got to shout my brother out. So in any event, people, what number is that? 103, just so I can remember that. Just going to show you what the course looks like quite briefly. Let's see. This is what the course looks like. This is what one of the first images, one of the opening images. Black masters and white slaves in antiquity. The enslavement of ancient whites by ancient black Egyptians. The conversation America needs to have when things were the other way around. So Shakka Ahmose Nile Valley movement PowerPoint presentation. So as you can see, we have the ancient white people that we will be discussing on the page itself. Now, basically, I don't want to go too much into the beginning of it because I want people to really appreciate the value of what they're getting. And if I'm just throwing it out there and giving it to everybody, then the people who are signing up are going to be like, well, hey, what are we signing up for? So what I can do and what I am going to share with you now, just briefly, is on my screen, and I'm sure you can see it.
Yeah, we can.
Right. Wonderful. On my screen, there are a certain number of people. Okay, and the reason that they're up there is because each one of these persons play a part in the unfolding of our story. You know, the beautiful thing about life is that no matter how hard you try to keep secrets, they always come out. And with respect to the fact that native Black, Southern, African, ancient Egyptian kings did in fact enslave white people, when you study the story, when you study the connection of all of these people that you're looking at, you're going to be amazed at how they are all connected to that story. That includes Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Andrew Jackson, Edward Livingston, Arsene Latour, Charles Haven Hunt, Marie Armand Davidette, Marie Louise Magdalene. Many of these are people you've never heard of. But by the time you're done in the course, you are going to be able to walk. You're going to know, and you're going to be able to connect the dots. And everyone that you see here helps to connect the dots to lead you back to that story. And I'm going to give you a small example of what I'm talking about right now.
All right.
Give you a small example. Let's see here. This is from the course, and I'm going to share with you right now. That's Donald Trump over here. This man next to Donald Trump on the left used to have Donald Trump's job. Andrew Jackson was the president of the United States before Donald Trump was born. This is Hillary Clinton over here. And to the left of Hillary Clinton is Edward Livingston. Edward Livingston used to have Hillary Clinton's former job as Secretary of State. He was one of the first secretaries of state, if not the second one. The first one, to the best of my recollection, no, I'm not going to even make a guess. I would rather have it. It may have been John Jay. I'm not sure. I would have to go back and look at that. But in any event, Edward Livingston was one of the earliest secretaries of states. So here you have a former president of the United States and a former secretary of the United States. Why is this man important? The Secretary of United. What's the relationship between these two men? Well, Andrew Jackson, before he became president, he was a general, and he wanted his life to be biography. He wanted his story to be told. You know, all so-called great American figures want their story to be told. So they have what's called official biographers. Every president, every great general, all have official biographers. And Andrew Jackson, this former president right here, he wanted his biography told. The person who wanted to write it was this gentleman right next to him. He was a major in the military. His name was Major Arsene Latour. He was a major. I'm not sure if he was a major in the French military, or it may have been a joint American-French outfit, because quite often just as they do today, foreign militaries would combine with one another. And in any event, that is unimportant. What is important is that this major here wanted to be the biographer for President Andrew Jackson. President Andrew Jackson said, no, I don't want you. I want this man, Edward Livingston. Edward Livingston, who was the Secretary of State, decided not to do the biography. That's not important. What is important is that because he was the Secretary of State, he had his own biographer. This is his biographer, Charles Haven Hunt. Why is that important? It's important because Charles Haven Hunt married into Edward Livingston's family. by marrying Edward Livingston's great niece. Okay, you'll see her in a few moments. So Charles Haven Hunt married his great niece. Now, why is this important, and why am I taking this approach? The one thing I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a minute because I want to see you guys as I speak with you. The one thing. Now let's see. How do I stop sharing my screen? Somebody tell me how to stop sharing my screen. There you go. Yeah. Have I stopped? Am I back on? Yeah, back on. Wonderful. So the reason why I'm taking this approach is because I want you both to appreciate something. As Black people growing up in a Eurocentric and European dominated culture and society, we are not taught and socialized to be preoccupied with our birthright, with our legacies, or with our, here's the key word, our pedigree. And what you have to understand about wealthy people, powerful people, particularly the very wealthy and the very influential and powerful, pedigree is everything in their world. Okay, so they're always bragging about who their uncle was, who their cousin is, who their grandfather was. That's a very, and I even have the documentation to prove that they are preoccupied with that, because I have some of their relatives talking about it, saying that when they go to see their famous family members, all their family members talk about is who grandpa was, who the other, and who grandma was. So they're very into their pedigree. So when you have people who are, say, the descendants of George Washington or the descendants of Thomas Jefferson, these people they are the aristocracy of the culture in which they live. So it's difficult for us to relate when white people do that. But that's what I'm showing you, and that's why I took the approach that I took, because I wanted you to see that this is all about pedigree. And when you, I'm sorry?
Let me interject this quickly, yeah, because the
Sure.
UK people, yeah, I think they're more attuned to that fact, because here in the UK is
yes, absolutely.
We get confronted with that factor of bloodline. This is how we've been doing it since 1900 long. And as I tell people all the time, anyway, your best fantasy shows is all about bloodline. Whether
that's right.
You watch your little Game of Thrones, whether you want to watch your little Lord of the Rings.
Absolutely.
It's all about family tree and where you came from and your inception into the world. So, but on the UK side of the game, as I said, we're confronted with that factor of tradition and bloodline being key. Whereas I think America, because you've had this independent,
right, absolutely,
state put into your head, this is where a lot of Americans, I think, don't see the same value system to it. So I understand your approach in your course. Go back and kind of give them the bit by bit breakdown so they understand just how important it is. It's like understanding all the presidents are related. You have to make them understand those factors. So
absolutely,
it's not by chance. Go ahead, brother.
Right, absolutely. Not only that, the other thing also is that the reason, hold on one second. Okay, right. Well, no, it doesn't actually, but give me 1 second. In any event, I was just informed that I have the wrong PowerPoint open, but I actually don't. And there's a reason for that, but I'll have to explain that to them later. In any event, folks, I'll use both. But right now, to explain my point, I'm going to use this one. And before I close out, I'll use the other one. But in order for me to explain what I'm explaining to you, I have to use this one. So what I was saying is that we are under the impression that there are no bloodlines in America to follow. And that's false. That nothing could be more false. America, in fact, does have its own aristocracy. But what they've managed to do is they've managed to keep it under wraps so that we don't know who they are. And when you find out who they are, it helps you to follow the money, it helps you to follow the wealth, and it lets you know who was responsible for what. But in any event, I want to continue to just break this down for you right here. So this man, Charles Haven Hunt, who became the biographer for his great uncle, Edward Livingston, the former Secretary of State for the United States and former ambassador to France, his nephew, Charles Haven Hunt, wrote a book about his uncle and his uncle's wife. His uncle's wife was a French woman, a white French woman who was born in Haiti. Okay? I think Santo Domingo, they called it. And is it Santo Domingo they call it? Yeah, Santo Domingo. Or Hispaniola, Santo Domingo. And her name was Mary Louise Magdalene Valentine Livingston de Avezec de Castera. That's a long name. I'll say it again. Marie Louise Magdalene Valentine Livingston de Avezec de Castera. Okay? That was his wife, this woman right here. And in the book that Charles Haven Hunt wrote about Edward Livingston, he mentioned her cousin. This is very important, people. I'm going to show you how things lead back to you, lead back to us as a race. And this is just a snippet of the course. It's a small piece. Okay? Charles Haven Hunt wrote a book about his uncle and his great uncle and his great aunt through marriage. And in that book, he was trying to prove his aunt's pedigree as well. And in doing so, he mentioned, and this is the book that Charles Haven Hunt wrote. He wrote a book called The Life of Edward Livingston, his great uncle, by Charles Haven Hunt. And in that book, he talks about his great uncle's wife, Marie Louise Magdalene Valentine Livingston de Avezec de Castera. And in the book, this is what he says. He mentions her cousin, Marie Armand de Avezec. Listen to what he says. He says, where are we? He said about her last name, de Avezec. Her last name was de Avezec de Castera. What Charles Haven Hunt said in the footnote to the life of in the book, The Life of Edward Livingston, on page 124, third paragraph, Charles Haven Hunt, the biographer of Edward Livingston, the former Secretary of State, he said this about his great aunt's last name. He said, the correct and original orthography of the name, the apostrophe being disused only by members of the family in America. So she dropped the apostrophe. She said, so Charles Haven Hunt goes on to say, M. Armand de Avezec is an eminent geographer, author of several works of merit, and a member of many scientific societies in various parts of the world. For a notice upon him and his writings, vita under the title Avezec Micaiah Marie Armand Pascal D. That's from the Dictionary Universal de Contemporaneous, par Vipero, 2nd edition, page 77. And that's found in the book, The Life of Edward Livingston. Why does he mention that in the footnote? Because in the main paragraph, he says this about her. He says this about her aunt, about his aunt. He says, her maiden name was de Avezec de Castera. Of her family, I have seen an account from the pen of M. Armand de Avezec, one of her relations. So it was so important to mention M. Armand de Avezec to prove her pedigree. He said this account shows the lineage to have been long and honorable. This account shows the lineage to have been long and honorable. So by virtue of bringing up her cousin, right here, I'm going to show you her cousin, this man, Marie Armand de Avezec. That is Marie Louise Magdalene Valentine Livingston de Avezec de Castera's cousin. And I'm going to tell you who he was and what he said about black people and white people. Okay? Stay with me and follow me, people, because I believe in the intelligence of my people. Okay? I'm going to show you. Give me a second. Where are we? Okay, here we go. This is what her cousin said. First of all, let me tell you who he was. We have to go into what's called the BNF, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. Okay? And in their archives, it's like the French version of the Library of Congress. It's like a combination of the Library of Congress and the Smithsonian Institute combined. So that's what the Bibliothèque Nationale de France is like. And in their archives, they keep data and information on all of their former intelligentsia. That means all of the people who served their country and collecting data about the rest of the world. Okay? Now, this is Marie Armand de Vezac, the cousin of the wife of Charles, the cousin of the wife of Edward Livingston, the former Secretary of State of America. This is what he said. He was a relation by marriage. His full name was, if you want to look him up, his full name is Pascal Marie Armand de Vezac of Castella Macaya. That was his name. He was a geographer, as it says here. And you can go to the BNF website. That's why the link is here, because you don't have to believe anything that I say. He was a geographer. He was the head of the Department of the Navy. Now, you know that's not a little position. The head of the Department of the Navy. He was the guard of the archives of the Ministry of the Navy, and he was the Secretary General of the Geography Society. Now, why is this man important? If you go to Wikipedia on his article, it tells you what exactly his details were, what the detail of his job was. It says that he spent his entire career at the Ministry of the Navy, where he took care of the archives and the management of the colonies. He was one of the founders of the Society of Ethnography. He was interested in colonial geography and great discoveries. Now, what did this man say? Now, this was the head of the French Navy. Are you following me, people? Hello?
Yeah.
Are you following me, people?
Yep, I'm following.
All right. This was the head of the French Navy. Okay? So this was not some little guy selling frankfurters on the corner in France. This was the head of their Navy. He managed all of their colonies. He managed the French colonies. That means all of those Francophone African countries in Africa, he was the manager of them. If you're talking about the Congo, if you're talking about Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, Gambia, if you're talking about any place that the French was running stuff, this man was managing it, and he was collecting information and data about Black African people. So he had more knowledge about Black people in the 19th century than most Black people have today in the 21st century. And I'm going to tell you what he said in a book that he wrote called Afrique, Tableau Général, Poème de Vezac, Afrique ancienne. Okay, that means the general outline of Africa, ancient Africa. And it was written by him, Pascal Marie Armand de Vezac Castella Macaya. This is what he said. Pay attention, people. He documented, and this is in the document, this is in the archives department. It's in the documentation in the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, or the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. This is in their archives. He said, the Black race, long the most numerous, first overpowered and dominated the whites. But the latter, meaning the white race, having gradually multiplied, shook off the yoke of their masters. The ex-slave, the white race, becoming master in his turn, condemned the Blacks to wear the chains that he had just broken, the white race. Centuries have passed. He says century has passed ever since the white race was enslaved by the Black race. He says centuries have passed since then. He says, but his anger is not yet appeased, meaning that white people have still not gotten over their enslavement by Blacks. They have not gotten over being enslaved by Blacks. Why did they not teach you that in school over there in the UK? Huh? And these are the Blacks he's talking about. I'll read it again. He said, the Black race, long the most numerous, first overpowered and dominated the whites. But the latter, having gradually multiplied, shook off the yoke of their masters, the ex-slave becoming master in his turn, condemned the Blacks to bear the chains that he had just broken. Centuries have passed, but his anger is not yet appeased. That is documented in the BNF archives, in the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. So, you know, don't say that Shakka Ahmose said it. Don't say that Black Ice TV7 said it. No, Shakka Ahmose didn't say it. The former head of the French Navy said it. And it's archived. It's in the BNF. And when you take the course, I'm going to take you into the archives of the BNF so you can see. We're going to take a really good look at all this French intelligentsia that has played a role in not only hiding our history, but also uncovering our history. And so, and we're going to talk about the truth of these things, because these are things that I think Black children have a right to know. They deserve to know. I always say all the time, I'm a strong advocate of the African right to know.
Brother, can I ask you a quick question? Yeah.
Sure thing.
I'm listening to you talk, about the enslavement of white people, Black people.
Sure.
Yeah, and I've heard this conversation happen a few times where there's this difference between chattel slavery and different, you know. No,
bro. Let me stop you.
Speak to that. When you talk about slavery, clarify for the people exactly what kind of slavery, because we've heard these conversations that we're doing to them.
Okay, you see, that's exactly why we got to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Because Black people are full of shit. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Black people are always trying to make it look like somebody else is worse than them. Oh, no. When we did slavery, it was different. It was more like servitude. And no, motherfucker. When we enslaved those white people, we put it on their ass. The same thing they did to us, we did to them. But we did it first. And that's going to be a hard pill for a lot of Black people to swallow. According to the documentation, and I'm only talking about the documentation, nothing else. I'm talking about the documentation that we can get access to. The oldest documentation that we can get access to. What the oldest documentation says, and I'm talking about the oldest documentation by white people. The oldest documentation by white people says that their race had been enslaved by native Black African kings in Egypt who came from the south very early on in Egypt's history. And when they say enslaved, they didn't say in servitude. They didn't say they got invited over to lunch and it was only asked to clean the windows. No. They were enslaved, and many of them for generations. They were enslaved, and they were born, lived, and died as slaves. And I'm not talking about just a few hundred. I'm talking about in mass migration, deporting whole populations and bringing them into Africa to work as slaves. Not just in Africa, but working them as slaves where they were. And this is why I tell you when I say people have a very comic book notion of what ancient Egypt was like. And I'm not saying that I'm not casting any judgment on them. I'm just saying what the documentation and the evidence says. And what I tell people all the time, let me give you an example of what I mean, bro. People look at ancient Egypt and they see all of those beautiful stones on the temple. They see all of that beautiful jewelry, right? What they don't understand about ancient Egypt is that a large part of that economy was based on minerals. It was based on raw material. You understand what I'm telling you? Wood, cedar wood, lapis lazuli stone, silver, copper, iron, gold. That was at the base of the economy at that time, during the middle, particularly during the end of the third millennium BCE. The middle of the third millennium BCE, raw materials were at the basis of the economy. Were at the base of the economy, and many of the raw materials. Now think about it. If you got what material is going to be more valuable to you, the material that you have right under your feet, or the material that you don't have that much of. The material that's going to be more valuable to you is the material that you don't have that much of, because there's none where you are. Which means that if you want more of that material, you got to travel. You got to go on an expedition. And that's what these kings did. They left Egypt and they went on expeditions looking for minerals. And they found populations in Europe where they're so they had a focus on mining. So when you look at early mining in Europe, and you have to read the books on it, when you look at early mining in Europe, you will find that a perfect example, the perfect example to use are the Celtic people. Okay, I listen to Celtic music all the time. I love Celtic music, right? So you're talking about, well, today you have a lot of people who try to call themselves Celtic, like the Irish and the Scottish and the Welsh, and they all try to call themselves Celtic. The fact of the matter is that none of them are Celtic. Okay, none of them. Not the Irish, not the Welsh. None of them are Celtic. At least not directly. You know, DNA wise, sure, those are your distant ancestors. No problem. I have no problem with that. But culturally speaking, nah, they're not really your ancestors. So in any event, when you study the early mining, when you study mining in early Europe, you're going to find that the Celtic people are really going to be your focus, because that's where you get a specific cultural matrix located at a particular place in time doing mining in Southern Europe. And one of the places is called Bohemia. Some of the other places are around the Black and Caspian Sea, the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. Some of the other places are in the Caucasus regions, the Caucasus Major and the Caucasus Minor. And you're going to find that mining was a major, mining and metalworking. Remember what I said? Mining and metalworking was a major thing in that area. But what happened was that when those black kings got to Europe in search for their metal, they didn't come asking. Okay? They didn't come and say, hey guys, we'd like to have some metal. Do you? No. And if you think that they went asking, the only thing that could tell me about anybody listening to this, it only tells me that they don't know anything about the kingship of the Middle Kingdom of Egypt. They don't know anything about the military worldview of the kings of Middle Egypt. These dudes was on some military shit. These kings, these black African Southern kings, they was on some takeover shit. Not even outside of Egypt, but even in Egypt. Even inside of Egypt, they were on some takeover shit, taking over one from the other. Not every day, not every year, but that was usually how dynasties changed. Power got usurped, because that's the way power is. If you look at what just happened in Zimbabwe. Look what just happened to Mugabe. On Monday, he's in office and in power. On Tuesday, he's out. Right? It was a power play. So you got a new dynasty. Right? Same thing was happening in Egypt. Ain't no different. You'd be surprised how much shit has not changed in Africa. You will be surprised how much stuff is still the same. So those kings, and those Middle Egyptian kings from the south, they went into Europe. They went into Europe, they went into Asia Minor, and they went into Europe. And they went there kicking ass. When you look at the archaeological record, all it talks about is destruction. Major destruction in that region during that period. And yes, the Egyptian artifacts are there to know that the Egyptians were in that area. Geographically, they were there. And not only that, all you have to do is read the accounts. You have to read the accounts by those people who reported on it. Those people who lived in the ancient world who reported on it. They didn't lie about it. They said, yeah, they took back prisoners. They called them prisoners of war. But once they got to Egypt, they were enslaved. And I mean, they took whole families. They didn't take just the men because it's a war. No. See, look, indentured servitude is when you just capturing a few people and you put them in bondage for a few years and they can work their way free. No, my dude. That was not indentured. No, they was enslaving their asses.
All right, listen.
Okay.
I got to ask a question then. The elephant in the room, yeah?
Sure.
Is this Hebrew and biblical account then these Hebrews?
I knew that was coming.
That's what I'm saying. We got to deal with it now, because you're identifying something that I can hear. And again, to the people in the chat room who are shock horror, some people are saying that, you know, they've heard the information.
I know they never heard. You was never supposed to. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you something. Let me tell you something. Do you know why you never heard the information? You never heard the information because white scholars throughout the world have been trying to suppress it for the past 25 years. They've been trying to suppress it even longer than that. They've actually been trying to suppress it since the 19th century. In Germany and France, they've been trying to suppress it, mostly in Germany, with mostly German scholars like Mueller and other ones who he also studied with, people who came out of Göttingen University in Germany. They knew what the classical authors said. They had the documentation. But what they did in the 19th century, because they started seeing everything through Aryan eyes, was they said, you know what? We can't be putting that out there. That's not a good look. So they flipped the model. They flipped it. They said, oh, those classical authors, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just, they're crazy. You know, this one is crazy, that one is crazy. Yeah, it never happened, right? That's what they did. The problem is that the archaeological evidence and the documentation disagrees with them. That's the problem. And so they realized basically that about 25 years ago, this information started coming back out. So what they did was they created a cadre of white scholars, a cadre of what you call classicists. See, have you ever, okay, everybody knows the term the classics, right? When you hear of the classics, you think of Diodorus, you think of Stephan of Byzantium, you think of Diodorus Siculus, you think of all these different scholars who are classicists, right? Now, those are actually considered to be the classical writers. Those are not considered to be the classicists. The classicists are those professors in the university today who actually study those classical writers. And what the classicists do is they tell you that to be a classicist means you study the classics. That's a lie. You see, that's how they fool black people. I'm going to tell you what it means to be a classicist. What it means to be a classicist means you classify things. That's what you do. See, that's their little dirty secret. A classicist classifies things for you. They try to define things for you. They hijack history when it's in their favor, or to put it in their favor. That's what a classicist does. A classicist is one of the greatest enemies of a black mind. Don't you ever forget that. Particularly a classicist mind that was developed from the 19th century on. Because if you look at the classicists before the 19th century, they all say the same thing, that white people had been enslaved in ancient Egypt during the Middle Kingdom by these black African kings from the south. They were all southern kings, all of them. And most of them were father and son. Sometimes they ruled together in a co-regency. You understand? And in fact, when you read the messages between these black pharaohs and their sons, when you read the documentation, you can see just how warlike things were in ancient Egypt at that time. A king couldn't even go to sleep. Do you hear what I'm telling you? A king couldn't even go to sleep. Do you know why a king couldn't go to sleep? Because everybody wanted the throne and everybody wanted the power. You know why? Because at that time in the Middle Kingdom, there was so much wealth flowing through Egypt, it would blow your mind. And it was the kind of power that human beings find very hard to resist. But with respect to the question about the Hebrews and the Bibles and all of that, let me really bug you out right now. Let me really bug you out. You know how the Hebrew Israelites always say the Jews stole their story? They always say the white Jews stole their story. I'm going to tell you a little secret. The reality of it is that it's the other way around. The black Hebrew Israelites infused their own selves into the history of those white Jews. That's right. Or see, the only way you can know that is you got to know the documentation. See, if you don't know the documentation, you can't fuck with me. Not on your best day. And I'll put money on the table. You get your best Hebrew Israelite scholar. I'll put money on the table. I'll put up 3,000 easy. No problem. No problem. If your documentation can beat mine, I'll give you the money. But if my documentation beat yours, you better have my check in the bank. But you understand? I don't play with this shit.
See, when the Hebrews are saying, yeah, they ain't saying, give some time references, because you're saying Middle Kingdom of Egypt, yeah, for this aggressive takeover and this interaction with these whites or Caucasians, yeah.
You want, hey, if you want me to give the time reference, sign up and take the course. You get all the references you want. Sign up and take the course. You can get all the references you want. The link to the course is in the chat room. ShakkaAhmoseUniversity.com. Come and get it.
No.
Yeah, come and get it. All the freebies are over. You heard? Look, let me tell you something. In 4 years, I've given away more information for free in one night than many scholars have given in years. I know it. They know it. You know it. If I didn't, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Listen,
okay? I'd be in the barbershop someplace.
I'm going to be the first to say I've enjoyed watching you at certain times give certain information. Definitely, yeah? Again, there's always new viewership coming on board, so they're always going to take you on this interview alone. They're not going to know the pedigree. They're not going to know. Obviously, they know that we don't like to have people who don't know what they're talking about on the show.
Yeah, but you know what? Though? That's the beauty of YouTube. They can go and check my pedigree. How they say in the new day? Google me.
Well, listen. The joke of it is, what we always try and tell people, this is only a portal to spark your mind. You will always go away and do research that supersedes computer screens if you're really listening. So that's the realness of it. We can all talk. We can all get caught up in personalities, but the realness of it is the information is going to take you where it's going to take you. Yeah,
that's it.
Shakka Ahmose, Richard from Black Eyes TV, Terry Riggs from Black Eyes. You will be setting up yourself for a letdown, because if I change my ethos tomorrow, your whole life collapses. So be independent and go and do your own research. You understand? Take the words that you're hearing from the conversation and do your own thing. That's what that's the key element. As well as sign up to the Shakka Ahmose course, definitely support my brother in what he's doing. But
you definitely want to sign up for that course, because many of you are walking around with ill-conceived notions because no one has ever shown you the documentation. Everything that I deal with is documentation. I only deal with documentation alone, nothing else. I don't deal with beliefs. I don't deal with opinions. I don't deal with none of that. All I deal with is the written record, the documented, archived record. That's all I deal with. Okay? So the fact of the matter, and you ain't got to like it, but the fact of the matter is that those native kings in the South, they enslaved those white. Not only did they enslave those white people, but they bragged about it. They put up pillars along the road and wrote on it what they did. Yes, they did. Yes, and I mean, not only did they brag about it, but the one major king in particularly that did it, anytime he defeated a town or a city on his way to and back to get these slaves and bring them back to Egypt, every time he conquered a town, if the town fought back bravely, he would, on his pillar, he would put the symbols of a man's private parts. But if they fought back like cowards and just gave the town up, he would put the symbol of a female's private parts, saying that the men were no braver than women. And that those pillars existed, because the chronicler who saw it said he saw it when he was traveling to Egypt from his European country. You see, the problem is you got too many people out here that don't really study history. They've never seen real history. They haven't done that level of reading. So that's why I created the course, so I can introduce my people, our people, to real history, so they can have the documentation. Nobody can't just come and tell them anything because it sounds good. You know, it's one thing, everybody want to feel good. Everybody wants to feel good. But at the end of the day, as a historian, I got to go with the documentation. And I always tell people, when it comes, and yo, right now, people really gonna get mad at me. You really watch this. I'm gonna make them mad right now. I told this to my queen the other day. I said, look, when it comes to this whole black-white thing, if you look at it like two kids in a schoolyard and you say who threw the first punch, I'm gonna tell you right now, according to the documentation, and I'm only going with the documentation, I always got to keep my opinion and my perspective out of it. According to the documentation, we threw the first punch as a race. And it's that simple. I ain't saying give them a pass for what they did to us. I'm saying that you got to know the documentation. Don't argue with me. Argue with the documentation. If you want to question the documentation, that's fine. But you can't question something you don't know about. And that's a problem. That's why if you took your ass into a university and you were standing in front of somebody with a PhD who knew the documentation, they would embarrass you. If you walked in there talking about, oh, poor black people, we've always been slaves. We've always been, somebody's always oppressing us. They would laugh at you because they would say, oh, wait a minute. What about this? What about that? What about this? But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you why white people kept it under the rugs and why they got these scholars to try to bury it. Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. Because for them to admit that white people were enslaved by early Egyptian pharaohs from the south, that means then they have to contend with the fact that the ancient Egyptians were indeed black. So if they admit one, they automatically have to admit the other thing. And you know, they ain't never tried to admit that. You understand? You got to understand motives and how this thing works. They will never admit freely and openly, yes, they were enslaved by black people, because or that they were enslaved by the ancient Egyptians. Because if they admit that, those particular kings, you see, the reason why it's important that we mention those Middle Kingdom kings is because all white Egyptologists know. You might, if you want to debate about them later pharaohs from like the 26th and the 27th, the late dynasties, if you want to debate their blackness, go ahead. But you cannot debate the blackness of those Middle Kingdom kings from Egypt. It's impossible. They got too many statues, too many bas-reliefs with the color of their skin. How you look? I'm just gonna show you one, and then I'm gonna get off of this thing because I got stuff to do, and I can't leave the people hanging. So here we go. Let me see if I can find them. Where you at? Hold on. I ain't able to show you this. Hold on. I know it's in here somewhere. Hold on a second. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, it's in here somewhere. I don't know where it is. Oh, you know, I might not even have it here, but that's fine. Let me shut that.
Shakka, I want to ask a quick question. What is the best book that you've ever read?
I'm actually reading it right now. The best book I've ever read is Black Athena.
Black Athena.
Black Athena by Martin Bernal. Black Athena by Martin Bernal. Hands down, best book I've ever read.
What's it about? Come.
What's it about?
Yeah.
Let me see. First of all, let me be sure if I'm saying the best book. Honestly, Yeah, I can say it's the best book I've ever read. It's basically about what I was just talking about, to be quite honest. You know, it's basically, I mean, that's just a small part of it, but it's really about it's about the fact that ancient Egypt, or rather ancient Greece, Black Athena is about how ancient Greece actually has African roots, and it has roots that are quote unquote Afro-Asiatic. Okay, and that there was a conspiracy put in place to hide that fact. That's what it is about. And it's not easy reading. If you're not a real reader, you're not going to like it because you're going to have to move very slow. But if you're like me and you're a voracious reader and you like to read voluminously, you're going to be like a kid in the candy store. It's like reading Shakka Ahmose, you know? And in fact, the author did read Shakka Ahmose to prepare that book, you know? And it's a 3-volume set with other addendums added on to it, with other addendums that follow it. Yeah, that's definitely the best book I've ever read, Black Athena. And after reading it, it helped me to understand why the white scholarly community came out against it so hard. Because it scared the shit out of them. They had never seen a book like that, with that much knowledge and that much authority behind it. And so they did everything that they could to destroy the reputation of that book. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy the reputation of that book. They even went to Black HBCUs, Black historically, what is it, HBC, historically Black colleges and universities. They went to HBCUs and they got Black historians to help them destroy the reputation of that book. And these Sambo sellout Black historians did just that. I can name them by name, and I can read you I can document what they said to try to put your Black brain back to sleep. That's right. It's that serious. And when I tell you that Black people don't understand the conspiracies against them because they've learned to look at the word conspiracy like it's a dirty word or a word of ridicule, they don't understand. But on that note, I got to leave it. If you want to know more, I would tell everybody, go to ShakkaAhmoseUniversity.com. The description is in the link. If that doesn't work, just go to ShakkaAhmose.com and you can find the link there where it says courses and lectures. ShakkaAhmose.com. Damn, I just put the other website in the in the chat room. Okay, so y'all have it. But either way, it's very easy to find, and I strongly recommend that you take the course and any of the upcoming courses. I have an upcoming course on Christianity that's going to change. Woo! It's going to change the game. It's going to change the game, and that's what it's all about. My thing is, whatever you teach, it should be a game changer. If it's not a game changer, don't waste your breath. And that's how I look at it. And that's why I made sure that what I said forthright and I said it straight. Black African kings in Egypt did indeed enslave white people in Africa, in Egypt. They certainly did. The documentation is going to be in the course. Okay? And get the course now, folks, because once it's online tonight, it's going to go up to $99. It's going to go from $77 to $97. So it's going to go from $77 to $97. Get the course, Shakka Ahmose University, Shakka with 2 Ks. And don't forget, only for the people who sign up, in the 3rd week of December, there's going to be a live video group chat so you can discuss and ask me live the questions because you're going to have a lot of questions. You're going to ask me, you get to ask me live about the questions. I also want to shout out Michael M. for being the first person to purchase the course days ago. And I can't believe how many of you actually have. You have all blown my mind. So you really blown, and my queen's mind. We're both like, wow, we cannot believe how many people signed up. And we're hoping for, we're anticipating many more. I definitely want to shout out Michael Mathias for purchasing the first course. And also to remind him that he gets a free 30-minute a live video consultation with me, Shakka Ahmose, for free because he was the first person to purchase the course. And if anybody else wants to get a consultation with me, all you have to do is just go to shakkaahmose.com, look in the menu, and just click consultations. You can get a 15-minute consultation course, 30-minute consultation course, or a 60-minute consultation course. The prices are very reasonable because what you're getting is priceless. The course itself that's going to be at shakkaahmoseuniversity.com is worth well over $500 upwards. You're getting a $400 discount. Can't do better than that. I wish I could get a $400 discount someplace. For anything. What's up? Talk to me, bro.
Yeah. And, for our people, we like to give people a gem. Oh, and I would love you to just give the people an information gem for them to able to research.
Oh, wow. An information gem for them to research. I got so many I wouldn't know where to start.
Just choose one.
Let me see. Let me see. Information gem. Wow. That was a really good proposition because it wasn't something I'll tell you what. Let me see. Give me a second. Let me mull that over. Let me really mull that over. An information gem. Okay. Here's an information gem for you. Hold on one sec. Possession of the mind. Quote. Okay, right. Here you go. I just got a really good information gem. But no, you wanted something to research. So I'm going to give you something to research. Normally I don't, but I will this time. Because I like to keep my ammunition. So I want to give them that.
Come on, give us.
Yo, there's so much. So okay, no. Okay, I'll tell you what. Here's an information gem. Okay, for you to understand. I was watching basketball highlights. I think it was last night or this morning. I don't remember. It was a document. Oh, I was buying food this afternoon, and they had the flat screen on basketball highlights on the NBA. And as I was looking at it, I was reminded of how black people and people in general do not realize how they are manipulated through sports. Because if you think about it, what is a basketball player doing to add quality to life? Is he farming food out of the ground? Is that his job? No. Is his job to build homes? No. Is his job to educate people? No. His job is to run back and forth with a ball and throw it in the basket. That's it. It serves no purpose. It serves no functional purpose. Now, if you want to understand the political nature of that, and you want to see how it ties into gangs, like Bloods and Crits, or the gangs that they have there in England, you guys can really relate to this. In the UK, you have these soccer gangs. Am I right?
That's so football.
Right. They call them social clubs, but they're actually gangs. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay. And they're very violent. They're very violent. Well, I want your listeners to look up something called the Nika riots. NIKKA RIOTS. The Nika riots. Look up the Nika riots, and I want you to see how the people were used and manipulated by the government, so you can turn around and look around you and see how much most of the shit around us doesn't even make any sense. All this NFL, NBA, NHL, it makes no sense. People are being paid millions of dollars to do nothing. Literally nothing to add to the quality of humanity. That comes out of Rome. That comes out of Eastern Rome. Okay? Some people would say ancient Greece has the antecedents to it, and it does. When you talk about the Olympiads and all that other stuff. But Rome took it to a whole nother level, and they made it socially political into the fabric of the society. And we are still running around with that shit today in our own communities. I'll give an example. If you go to California, you can always tell when you're in gang territory because somebody's wearing a Raiders jacket. A Raiders jacket and a Raiders hat. That's sports. That's sports and gang combined because that's the real nature of the game. You understand? So that's my gym for the people. Go look up the Nika riots. All my other gyms I got to keep close to the chest because that's my ammunition. And you can't give people too much because you give them too much, they'll be running around like they discovered America or something.
Well, listen, you just got to make sure that you come back on the platform, yeah, because I know there's discussions that we need to have with a forthcoming brother like yourself because people have your opinion on certain things that we already talked about off air that need to be hashed out. Because
sure thing.
Certain concepts that we've talked about the Kemet thing that need to get talked on. Yeah, so when you back, yeah, I know you got things to do. I don't want to.
Well, I definitely got things to do, without question. In fact, I do have to depart as we speak. So I want to give a shout out. I want to give a Shakka Ahmose University shout out to Black Ice TV 7, to both of the hosts who warmly welcomed me and who made sure that I brought my black behind over here because they've been telling me for the longest, brother, what's up? Brother, what's up? Brother, what's up? Brother, what's up? I mean, the email, the Facebook, the text, all of it. And I always had every intention to get over here, but I had to have things in place first so I could jump off of the merry-go-round that I was on, quote unquote, and so that I could be moving in a particular direction so that I could bring you back with me. You understand what I'm saying? When we shut this off, I can bring you with me so that your experience doesn't have to stop. And that's a debt that you owe to Black Ice TV 7. Because without Black Ice TV 7, you probably wouldn't even know about ShakkaAhmoseUniversity.com. You know what I mean? And that's just the truth of the matter. So, you know, I got to shout out my peoples, Black Ice TV 7, and I'm rocking with them. You will see me back on this platform as my first of many times that I will be back. And because I have PowerPoints coming up that you just have to know about. But with that, I do have to say Uncle Jocelyn and Imhotep.
All right, people, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for supporting the show.
Hold on one sec.
What you got to say, Riggsy? Got you.
Yeah, I've just got to give them one little bit of entertainment of what's happening at 1 o'clock because we're doing the marathon run. Yep, it's a double whammer.
MBK. In the house, new black knowledge. Oh my gosh, it's going down. Masonry and churches. Yeah, I'm gonna have to splash some more on my face and be ready for that one.
Yep, and don't forget, we got a bit of cooking at 1 o'clock UK time and 9 o'clock US time.
And don't forget to tell them that me and the Queen are going to be doing the Kings and Queens thing. All right, that's what's up.
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah.
Shakka Ahmose in a rarity with his wifey on the platform. Yeah, going in on Kings and Queens of Kemet, giving us some backdrops to prior relationships in antiquity. Let me just get that word out correctly.
Antiquity. And on that, I gotta go, guys. Uncle Johnson.
All right. Pleasure.
All right, big up. We will see you soon.
Okay. So as I was saying,
yeah. Biggest thing you're saying, Terry.
Yeah, so we've got a family called Mama Nasira and Dr. Joe, which they've got a book called Spicy Vegan Tasty Cookout. They're doing a retreat in Gambia, which they are now living in Gambia, all the way from South Carolina, all the way to the Gambia. And they will be talking about their experiences in Africa, what they're about, what they're doing in Africa, and what kind of retreats that they are doing in Gambia itself. So that will be at 1 o'clock in the UK time in the afternoon, and that'll be 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. US time, EST. So don't forget, we've got the true historian at 1 o'clock in the morning. That will be 8 o'clock US time. So we're going to break down them churches and we're going to break down that masonry and combine the two together because we are going in on this marathon. So as I always say, I always want you to buy black, live black, see black, because this is the school of thoughts.
Listen, people, big up to all black media out there, yeah. Content over everything. Big up for what you've been doing of lately. All that Libya work, we're loving it, we're loving it, we're loving it. Big up to Talk with the Titans. Big up to Sarnet TV. Big up to Black Magic. Big up to HMP TV. Support black media. Come on, if you don't, we will never get our own story out, our own narrative, yeah? Tune back in at 1:00 UK time. Whatever, work it out for wherever you are in the US. MBK is on True Historian. Tune in. It's going to be live. We will see you soon. Peace, 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 people.